What's the Car Talk podcast?
Hello and welcome back to the Car Talk podcast, where me and Bailey bring you the latest car news and the latest transportational opinion, at least for the last month that's gone by anyway. No guests this week, but we do have a few irons in the fire, including women and returning guests, whatever comes first. But for now, it's just me and Bailey. How are you doing this month, Bailey?
Yes, very well, thank you, Matty. Sad that we haven't got a guest on again, but it is a work in progress. So
it is. It's a mixture of the. It's half the unwillingness of people to come on, and the other half is our disorganisation. Yeah, you have to forgive me though, Bailey, because I've got a lot of fish to fry at the minute. You may notice if you're watching on YouTube that the Matty Towers set is looking a little bit different and a little bit bare at the minute, and that'll be because, unfortunately, the landlord of Matty Towers, who isn't called Matty, is moving us all out. So, unfortunately, I'm midway through moving out. It's a very stressful situation, Bailey.
Oh no. Anyway, I couldn't stop laughing when I was saying that. We do car news, aren't we?
Yeah.
To start with.
Do you want to go first?
I can indeed, and I want to talk about a new SUV, Matty.
Oh no!
What a surprise! And it's called the Toyota Century. Now, this is meant to rival the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, however you say
Rolls-Royce?
Yeah, it's a luxury SUV. It looks kind of like a mix of a Bentley, Volvo and other things. But I actually think it looks great. It's got a nice sort of big design. It's going to have a 3.5 litre V6 engine with 400 horsepower. It's going to cost around £130,000, which, to be fair, if it's rivaling the Rolls-Royce, that's pretty... Yeah, it's pretty bargain for it compared to it. The only shame with this is that it's going to be sold in Japan only, which is a bit of a shame. But hopefully we'll see someone importing them, because I think it does look quite good. I don't know what your thoughts on it are.
The only thing that's a shame with this is that it looks like a Genesis, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
It looks...
I knew you
Why didn't they just do a Lexus to make this a Lexus and make it all cool? And it looks a little bit like a pound shop Rolls Royce. What is the Rolls Royce? Not the Bentayga, that's the Bentley. What's the Rolls Royce SUV called?
The Cullinan. I can't remember. It's a really odd way to say it.
To be fair, it actually looks more like a pound shop Bentayga. To be fair. Why are they doing this? Because I thought the Japanese all drove small cars, like K cars.
Well, I suppose they do, but maybe it's just like, I don't know, there's a certain market there they need to fulfill. Because like you said, the Lexus hasn't done an SUV for ages, has it?
No.
Or have they? I don't recall of one apart from the RC 300 and whatever it's called, which was like 10 years ago. But yeah, I don't know why Lexus didn't make it. Anyway, I quite like it because it looks quite cool.
Well, to be fair, I mean, I'm getting these images from the website motor1.com, which I don't think is a HTTPS. No, it isn't a HTTPS varied website. It's probably going to put a virus on my PC. And there's an advert actually next to the article here, advertising older male hunks, and I actually think that they are more attractive than this car.
For God's sake.
So
anyway, you can move on then.
I think I will. And as we found out in the news this week, the former London Mayor, Ken Livingstone, has been diagnosed or is suffering with dementia. So a bit of bad news there, however you want to take that. The only silver lining for him, though, is that he's going to be able to forget now about all of the pain and misery that he's caused motorists, especially in London, over the years. Now, of course, Bailey, we've got the modern Ken Livingstone, who is Sadiq Ulez Khan, and we've got him now. But listen, there has been in the news this week, have you heard the leaked information, the leaked U-turns that are going to be made by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak this week? Oh,
I have, because it's one of the things I've put down.
Oh, brilliant. Well, you should have made this... I love the way you opened the podcast with a Toyota that's horrible that we can't even get in the UK, but you didn't open it with one of the most prolific, biggest news stories of the week.
I'm very sorry, Matty. That was my mistake.
So if you're not in the know, the UK petrol and diesel car ban, it was meant to be, weren't meant to be able to buy a new petrol and diesel car by the year 2030, which, just how many years is it? Wait, 7 years away. Not a long time away at all. It's been postponed now. It's been put back to 2035. Not confirmed yet, but it's looking like it is going to be. How are we feeling about that?
It's great, because that means I can live for another 5 years.
I thought you might say that. It just means, though, as well, that there's going to be less demand for our petrol cars. There's another 5-year delay of people literally trying to steal your car because it's petrol and they can't buy a good enough used one. It's good news. It's a little bit of it's a little bit of, what's the word? Another 5 years of normality, I guess. But yeah, the car makers, though, they're not happy about this, are they, at all?
No, which is good, because that means they can go, yes, we can make more petrol cars again.
I mean, I think they're just feeling a little bit sort of hard done by that. They've built electric car platforms. They've told us all to drive the change, electric is the future, and all these weird catchphrases. And the Prime Minister in a few days or weeks is effectively going to go, no, don't worry about that for another 5 years at least. You know what I mean? Because if you think about it, 7 years before the ban, really, car makers have got to start acting like it's already here. Do you know what I mean? It's like when they make you revise for your GCSEs in year 8. On paper you think, oh, well, my GCSEs aren't tomorrow, but then, you blink and your GCSEs are tomorrow. So I'm sure the car makers are pretty pissed off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind personally, because that means I can drive more petrol. But speaking of change, Matty, I don't know if you've seen this. It's a new piece of news that came up on my Instagram, which is a bit of a weird place to see it. But basically, it's an Afro-European technology firm called Namex, and they revealed a new hydrogen-powered SUV. Yes, it's another SUV, but it basically features 6 individual hydrogen capsules at the back. And basically, these can be swapped out to speed up fuel stops and stuff. It takes about 5 seconds or something. And to refuel the hydrogen, obviously refuel the hydrogen, but you can get a range of 1,500 kilometers, which is pretty impressive. And the car is actually designed by Pininfarina, which is.
I was going to say,
funny.
Is this the new Nam X HUV Pininfarina?
Yes.
I
kind of longed it out, but
it looks stunning, doesn't it? Isn't it great?
It does. It's a cool looking car, I have to admit. But I think that is the future. That is brilliant. And obviously the capsules are kind of hidden away, but they also look quite cool.
Basically, the back bumper opens up, doesn't it? And the hydrogen capsules come out. Are they interchangeable? Do you just fill them up?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you just fill it all them up individually, and you just swap them. I've seen a video of it, someone just taking them out and putting them in.
This is absolutely fantastic. This really is probably going to be the future. And also, while we're on this, Bailey, I just feel like in the running order, up to now, everything that you've mentioned, you probably should have mentioned the Toyota Century SUV perhaps last, or not at all.
Yeah, because also the next thing I want to talk about is a new Lotus.
Yeah, getting worse. Are you sponsored by Toyota or something?
No, I just like Toyotas. Mainly their early stuff, but yeah. The new Lotus Emea, I don't know how you say it. It's an electric Hyper GT in yellow, and this is going to be obviously a Hyper GT thing, which is it's kind of like a long what would you say as a hyper GT? I suppose a Porsche Taycan sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like a fastback sort of thing.
Yeah, sort of not sedan, but sort of almost an estate with a roof that's going down rather than up. That's a really shit way of describing it. Anyway, it has 320 miles of range and it will have 900 horsepower. But what do we think of it, Matty? I think it's a good looking car, just not as a Lotus.
Yeah, I think it looks okay. It's not particularly very Lotus-y.
No.
And also, can I just ask a quick question? Is this actually going to be made, or is this... Because, I don't know, maybe it's not just Lotus, but like a lot of these cars that we've mentioned, we're doing this podcast a while now, I just never ever see them again, especially the intriguing ones that I'd love to actually see on the roads of Ascot. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. And this is confirmed. This is coming out next year, so you can actually buy this. But I know what you mean by that. Like, a lot of the cars we've spoken about haven't actually been seen yet, which is quite funny. Well, I have seen, to be fair, you know that like Land Rover electric thing from Scotland that Jack said? I actually did see one of those the other day.
Did you?
I can't remember what the name of it. Yeah, I saw one of those on the road, and they actually are being made. So that's obviously happening.
That's good. We haven't completely wasted people's time there.
I think we still have though. But yeah, as I said, this comes out next year, so I'll hopefully be able to see one in Ascot. So, yeah.
Well, onto a car that you absolutely will be able to buy, and if the current version is anything to go by, then you should buy it. It's the new MG3, and the key of this is that it's going to be petrol only. Good news, it's a small car. We like small cars. It's a good looking car, the new MG3. The old one, the facelift and the pre-facelift, really quite cool looking cars. And if you're looking for I always say this to people who ask me, if you're looking for a rare sort of modern car, one that you're not going to see sort of two of parked in the supermarket or whatever, this is the one to go for. Plus, it's the only production car with hydraulic power steering, so the steering is actually surprisingly engaging and surprisingly good. What do we think, Bailey?
I agree with you totally, but they haven't changed the look at all.
They have. It looks much better.
I mean, the lights are slightly more. They like having, you know, like how girls have the eyelashes and they go out of their eye.
Yeah,
it's like that at the front, but that's all I can see.
It looks a little bit more done up, and it's got a sort of what looks to be a big fake grille, but it looks mean and it looks angry, and I think it has changed from the previous one. It's taking cues from the new Cyberster, which we discussed on the podcast with Jack? I think it was, or Daniel Lackerhouse, possibly. You've got to get his name in somewhere. But yeah, the point of this is that MG, obviously, they're one of the first brands, really, not first, but you know, first to have quite a few electric models on the go, but they say that they're reserving the sort of electric powertrain for the bigger models, and this is going to be purely petrol, which we like.
That is good, yes.
Honestly, in about 10 years, 20 years time, I can see myself having one of the current used MG3s. I just think they are that good. Yeah.
I would like to drive one and do a review on it, actually, to be honest, because I think, as you said, they are quite funky looking cars, and they're very different to a lot of other super minis. Is there anything else you've got, Matty? Because I've pretty much done with news. Yes,
plenty more news, a couple more news. First of all, don't go to Wales. 20 mile an hour ban. It's also a 20 mile an hour limit now on all of the residential streets in Wales has come in this week. There's now a 150,000 strong petition calling for whoever Wales party is to scrap this. What do we think of that?
I think the petition is great. I think they should get rid of it because that's just idiotic.
Can I ask you a
Or is it
question,
to hit
though,
a
Bailey?
building?
Your road that you
Yeah.
live on, I'd say it was, if it wasn't a dead end, but this helps anyway, but it's probably 20 miles an hour. But can you do 20 up your road without crashing into Leslie's flower display? I don't think you can.
Easily. I do it in reverse.
Well, I actually, funny story, viewers, the first time I came to see Bailey, I parked my Saxo up his street, and I was reversing straight back down the street, but like down the side of it, because there was like loads of free parking spaces, and I was just gonna like swing round. So rather than get in the middle of the road, I was reversing down the right hand side. Little did I know that there was a telegraph pole sort of hidden within the bushes, and I twatted the corner of my Saxo. Couple of days after, a couple of days before, that woman had already ran into the back of it, so she really didn't have a good weekend to my Saxo that week, especially when it comes to a rear end. It was really battered that week.
I remember you telling me about that, actually. That's been quite a while ago, jeez.
Bailey phoned me to ask me if I'd got home about 4 weeks later when the telephone lines went back up.
Yeah, that's how long it takes to get to Liverpool on the telephone. So, underdeveloped. Wait, what? Carry on.
Further bit of news here. I don't know why I've put this. Yes, I do know why I've put this. So basically, we're getting a new 2024 Vauxhall Crossland. It's going to rival the Dacia Duster, and it's going to focus more on utility and practicality. I'm sure Bailey will put some images on the screen, but if you're listening not on YouTube and just on Spotify, you're not missing out. It looks horrible. Now, we discuss all of the time about the shit decisions that car manufacturers make, Jeep, Peugeot, Vauxhall. But there's a particular decision about this car that Vauxhall have made, Bailey, that I'd like to discuss with you.
Go for it.
Tell me now a good Vauxhall from the past. Go on, can you think of any sort of like from years ago?
The Vauxhall Nova.
The Opel Manta.
Yeah, which is technically an Opel, but yeah, it's
well,
Vauxhall.
Opel Vauxhall. The Calibra. Plenty, or a few good cars Vauxhall made in the 80s and the 90s. One of them was bad was the Viva, which is a name that they revived, which was a stupid thing to do. Would you though, if you were the CEO of Vauxhall and you made the replacement for the Crossland, would you say, yes, I think it's a great idea to bring back the Frontera name?
No.
He broke up there. I think he's being sick. But yeah, the Frontera, the rusty SUV that Vauxhall made in the 90s, which was really a truly horrible, cheap and nasty car. It's being revived to further nail some nails into the coffin of Vauxhall so that Peugeot can quietly take over. I think that's what's happening at Stellantis anyway.
Yeah, you're probably right there, Matty.
Yeah. Should we move on to our theme then?
Let's do it. I think that'd be a good idea. Not talking about Vauxhall anymore.
Yeah, let's forget about Vauxhall and all the shit models that they are trying to revive. Yes, we're going on to our theme this week. And it's about drivers and things that piss us off on the road. I'd like to go straight in there with hearses. No, I'm only messing. Yeah, Bailey, your idea. What's the idea behind our theme this week?
Well, I was driving on the road the other day, as I do normally, and I was thinking, well, what can I use? What can we do as a new theme for a podcast? And how I actually came to that idea was I was stuck behind some idiot in like a GLE thing, like, SUV Mercedes, in my SUV, which is quite funny.
Oh yeah, Bailey's
a
mum now, if anyone didn't know.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to decline a free Freelander, am I? And this person was doing like, I don't know, 38 in a 60. And I was like, can you just hurry up? And that's one thing that really pisses me off, is when people don't drive the speed limit and just drive like a lot slower, and it does my head in. And you can't overtake them.
No, you can't a lot of the time, especially on country roads and winding roads. And, you know, especially as well if you've got a Land Rover Freelander that only does like 4 miles an hour and probably is about to break down.
You'd be surprised, Matty. It's actually got quite a lot of torque. It's a top range model, as I found out.
Very good. Touch wood.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, like, I don't know about you, Matty, but I always come across like people like that, especially in my area. Everyone's just clueless about how they're driving. Like, they don't know what they're doing. Like, they come up to a roundabout and go, oh, okay, what am I doing here? What is this place? They just don't know what they're doing. And especially on like just straight roads, they're just doing like 40 on like 60s.
Something that like I constantly say to myself in the car, especially when like approaching traffic lights or approaching a roundabout or a junction where it's not a blind junction, you can see quite clearly that it's clear. Something I repeat to myself all the time is, this person in front is desperate to stop. It's almost like people want to stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And any driving instructor will tell you this, is that driving is actually all about like keeping going and not stopping. Like, that is kind of the objective, obviously, as long as it's safe to do so. But the whole point is to keep the flow going and to keep because then you avoid traffic, you avoid, you know, wear and tear on your car, using fuel. But yeah, I'm constantly stuck behind people where it's like they are waiting and just anticipating, waiting for the lights to change, like they just want to stop. And I actually think that could be true. I actually think people want to stop so they can check their phone. Do you reckon that's a thing?
That's a really good theory, actually. And to be fair, I probably agree with you on that. I mean, like, a lot of people I see a lot of people on their phones anyway, just while driving. Like, the other day I saw someone on, you know, literally I could see that I was behind them doing, like, you know, probably 2 miles an hour because it was stuck behind them. But I could literally see they were holding their phone in their left hand and like talking into it, and I was like, well, just put it down. Like, you don't need to. What's so interesting about on the phone?
I know, either buy a phone stand or connect it to Bluetooth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Every car has like a screen or Bluetooth now, so why not just connect it to that?
I know I joked before and just said that I'd like to kick off with hearses as something that pisses me off on the road. But to be fair, my number one bugbear on the road isn't actually far off a hearse. As former London Mayor Ken Livingstone has developed dementia, there are many other people who are sick and vulnerable taking to the roads every day to cause absolute carnage. Can you guess who I'm talking about, Bailey?
Cyclists?
No, old people.
Yeah, I mean, old people or cyclists, or both.
Or
Imagine
both.
that combo, an old person stuck behind a cyclist. What a combo that is.
Or an old person who is a cyclist. They go so slow they'd actually fall off. Now, the number one problem I have with old people on the roads, and this whole thing about old drivers in general, is that, number one, they cause more lower level collisions on the road, which means that they don't have to suffer the insurance premiums that we do. So they still cause crashes. They're just the types of crashes that you don't put a claim in for, or where cars don't get written off, but they still get a free ride when it comes to insurance premiums. And number two is that they are, a lot of them, drugged up to their eyeballs completely on their prescriptions, and are either careless and, you know, in some cases reckless, to be fair, because you have those old people that press the wrong pedals and things like that, but also just completely on a different planet and driving too slow or drifting into your lane. And God forbid if you were to say anything to them or beep your horn, you would get that bloodshot look from their eyes as though it's completely your fault, and because they've been on this for 186 years, they could not possibly be wrong. Do you know what I mean? There's just such a hierarchy when it comes to old people. It's like no one will have a bad word said about them, especially when it comes to their driving.
It's very true, very true. I mean, going on from like what you said earlier about people like always wanting to slow down, another thing that annoys me is people who basically, you know, like when people like, you know that someone's going to turn off the road to a different road.
Oh.
They don't do it till the last minute. Like they do it like, oh, they go, oh yeah, I need to go here, and then they indicate as well. It's like, well, what's the point in that? I don't, you know, I'm not going to know that you're going to go in there, but it's like you always have to slam on the brakes because they do it so last minute. That's what annoys me as well.
It's mad, this thing, isn't it, about people like if they get lost or if they just about to miss their turn or whatever. Like especially on a motorway as well. Like the whole point of a motorway is that if you miss your junction, you just go on to the next one and turn round. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like I've been lost many times in many places, but I've never held anyone up, I'd like to think, because I just think, okay, I think I'm turning off in a minute. If I do turn off at the right road, then great. If I don't, then I'll just turn into the wrong road anyway and fucking turn round. You know what I mean? It's simple.
Yeah.
Common sense.
It is, and I think common sense leaves a lot of people a very young age.
Yeah,
as we know,
maybe it's
like,
gonna leave us soon. I mean, I think it might have left you already if you've got that Freelander. You know what I mean?
Shut up. I'm doing a 4-month like sort of ownership review on Saturday. I'm filming that, so you'll be very much looking forward to that, Matty, because I'm basically going to say everything I don't like about it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Does that include the waiting times in the service departments at Land Rover?
Don't know, because I haven't been.
Carrying on then with things that piss us off on the road. What about the people who go round corners really slowly? What would you do to them if you could?
Oh, and they brake as well around the corner. You meant to brake before the corner, but they brake on the corner and going round it.
Just as you think you've escaped them, they like, it's almost like they, I don't know, they're obviously not going to reverse, but like you just think, okay, well, they're going to maintain a certain speed so I can just safely pass them now. Oh no, they don't. They just brake and you have to swerve again. Do you know what I mean? That's probably our fault, but you know, they should go round the corner properly.
Yeah, I mean, when I go around a corner, I think of a racetrack, so I see the lines and go, that's the apex, I need to aim for that bit of apex, and I can get around as fast as possible. That's what everyone should do, I think.
That's if you've got a well-handling car, though. Not everybody does.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things about the Land Rover I dislike is it feels like I'm driving a house.
Well, my Fiat Brava, you used to have to turn right before you turned left.
Really? How does that work?
Well, no, like I'm just taking the piss. It was like a lorry though, where you had to make dead wide turns in it because there was that much oversteer. That, yeah, it would do that.
A thing that annoys me, as I found out more so recently, because I drove into London, is, well, London itself annoys me, but also the roads in London. I was going to a film shoot in London a couple of weeks ago. And I had to be there for about 5 a.m, so I left my house at like 3. Anyway, so I was in the middle of London at like 4:30, and obviously everywhere's like 20 miles an hour, so you're literally doing 20 on like the widest road possible with like 4 bus lanes and 3 cycle lanes, and there's nothing else to hit, and you have to do 20 because there's a camera every 5 seconds. That really annoys me. It's like, well, what is there to hit? There's no pedestrians. Why are the cameras not turned off at a certain time?
Did you know there's
get rid of them
news at the end of last month that said that more British traffic collisions are caused by people turning right than any other manoeuvre? So what I'd suggest to you, if you are driving in central London, Bailey, is just to not turn right. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a bit difficult because if you keep going left, you just go in a circle, Matty.
Yeah, I know, but as we know from British politics, left is best.
I'm not going to argue any of that because I can't be bothered. The last thing that annoys me, Matty, that I've got down is, I mean, you might agree with this as well, is people who jump the queue at like traffic lights or any sort of, roadworks. If there's like a merging lane and they basically jump the merge, or they basically go into like, especially on the M25, there's lots of lanes, and basically they just try and cut through different lanes to get somewhere else and then cut back in. I want to set them on fire.
I'm more pissed off with the people that let them in, you know what I mean?
That's what I mean, yeah. I never let them in. I'm like, you can piss off.
No, I don't. I mean, I let people out of side roads if I have to, but not if there's nothing behind me. They can just wait. But when it comes to people jumping the queue, absolutely not. And I drive a Lexus now, so I don't really have to listen to anybody. You know what I mean?
That's true, yes. I drive a Lexus. I mean, a good example of this the other day I had was I was at a set of lights, and basically it was one lane, like a normal road, and it went into two. And obviously there was quite a bit of traffic behind, and then someone basically overtook to go into the other lane, and the other lane's only a only a right turn.
Yeah.
And then the other like the outside lane is a straight and a left turn. This van basically cut through the traffic around, went on the other side of the road, basically came to where I was and indicated into my lane. I was like, nope, not going in. And he pretty much almost scraped the car because he wanted to go in that badly. And I had to obviously let him in at that point. And I was like, you bastard.
It's horrible, isn't it, when you lose? Like, and you think if I'd have put my foot down sooner or whatever, but, that's where you get into harm's way, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
If you get irate about shit like that. But, yeah. I'm actually fresh back from a speed awareness course last Saturday. I was being preached to that about the benefits of smart motorways by a rather sassy speed awareness teacher. Hello to Ricky, the driving instructor, if you're watching. So yeah, I was pretty pissed off that he was trying to tell me how great smart motorways are and how useful the refuge points are and things like that. But I did learn a lot, and it turns out now that if I wasn't Liverpool's best driver before, I certainly am now.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me if you actually were the best driver there.
Thank you, you're too kind. But literally, I got caught.
I meant that as the driving standard is pretty shocking in Liverpool anyway.
Oh,
that's what I meant.
Yeah,
it wasn't a compliment.
Oh, I should have got that. Well, I got caught speeding, straying over the 50 miles an hour limit on the M6. I'd say I went 56 or something, or 55. And, lack of concentration, but, where's the problem? Anyway, 7:30 Saturday morning, just gone. I was on the Zoom meeting, learning about phantom traffic jams and, even more reasons to be pissed off with people, really.
Yeah, that seems to be the recurring theme nowadays, isn't it? I haven't got anything else, Matty, unless you do.
Right, should we pull out of a junction onto someone and immediately make the next left turn into the next street with our social medias, Bailey, or...
Sure. Obviously, if you want to follow us on YouTube, you can do so below by subscribing. And if you want to follow us on social medias, we basically post like behind the scenes of our reviews, just updates on videos, that sort of thing. You can follow us on TikTok, which is Car Culture YT, and on Instagram it's carculture_YT because it wouldn't let us do the other one. And if you want to follow me personally and see that I've just been to Greece and had a good time, I think I said that last month as well, then you can. It's Bailey Prickett 27. That's it for me, Matty. Let's do your
beautifully done
as well.
Bailey, beautifully done. If you'd like to see more of me, you can follow me on my YouTube channel, subscribe to Matty's Cars. You can get me on Instagram for chod spots and things like that, Matty's Cars YT. And is someone send me a Snapchat? If you'd like to recommend me somewhere that I can live, then you can DM me personally on my personal Instagram, as someone is doing on Snapchat there, Matsgram99. So yeah, any houses to rent, DM me, personal Instagram, Matsgram99. Thank you. I think that went well.
It did, yes.
Yeah, so I think that wraps up this month's Car Talk podcast. As Bailey said, do get in touch if you do have anything that pisses you off out on the road, and we'll read it out. Yeah, is it time to say goodbye?
Yes, that's usually how a goodbye works.
Goodbye.